from 56. Myers straight away with enough leg.
So what's cool about Jay is Jay's one of my best friends. You guys will recognize him, Seattle Seahawks kicker, Pro Bowl kicker this year, so pretty cool. Got a contract extension with the Seahawks, so lots of neat things happening. Golf has been one of the last things on his mind as of recent, although he's an avid golfer and a really good one. When he gets going, he plays very close to a scratch level, and it's pretty impressive considering half the year he can't even play golf. So we were just talking about the opportunities he's had to practice. The good thing about coming back is he always has the same tendencies. He tends to lose the anchor point and tends to stand up throughout his swing. So what we're trying to do now is get him in a position at the top of the swing that allows him to be more connected and in a position where he has this lead leg posted up more to be able to rotate around it and cover it, but then also have the hands and the club on a plane that doesn't force him to stand up throughout the golf shot. Okay. So, anchor point. The post that I call the post and the anchor point of the swing, that left hip. So when you watch, a lot of the world's best, they'll keep that hip a little higher, a little more posted up. Now watch, if I were to draw that line here, see how it just drops down? Mm-hmm. Okay, so when that left hip drops, the spine goes this way. Now the left hip will have to post back up, and that's what then raises you up out of the shot. And then you hit the ball back here without covering it and being on your left side. So pretty simple plan, actually. Really post up, like really get this left leg anchored. Try to feel like your left hip stays higher. Another feeling for you for the same thing is keeping the right knee on the inside of the right foot. Just you can put a rod there, keep the knee on the inside of that, turn, and if the knee's there, well then you know this hip surely didn't drop, right?
When I go forward,
there you go.
It feels like I kind of like...
Well, the spine here, do that again. Keep your spine right where it is. And now just shift your hips. That's where you want to be. Okay, now even exaggerate that a little bit more. There you go. The only two components of bumping your hips that need to be remembered, the sternum stays still and the hips stay square. Square, still, bump. Remember, people tend to move their upper body with the hip bump or they back up. No, leave it there, bump. Yeah, so just like your first move should look like this, literally. Butt towards the target like this. Almost like you feel like your hips are going that way and the hands are just staying straight back. Oh, dude, that was gorgeous right there. Does it make sense? When I go this way, I'm gonna have to post back up. So how that happens is this. The legs slide over and it leaves the upper body behind. So that's the golfer who will always have the contact be back there with the arm back here. And that's for you, when you go up in this way, that's what adds the loft for you. Yeah. So that's when that ball starts coming down. Like those last two, not only did they start on line, but they started off like on a better trajectory. That's this. That's anchor point out. And that's you getting the right elbow now in front and keeping the hips back, which allows for you to stay in your spine angle and be more in this position. So you'll see, when we film it again, you'll see more of this as opposed to that, okay? Gotcha. Yeah, that's perfect. Jeez, dude.
Feels better, yeah.
Really good. And you're not dropping that left hip nearly as much, you know? I think you get in the mirror a little bit or use shadows when they're on the ground. You can always look at your shadow. Mine's kind of weak today. It's not a big shadow, but I always used to just try to create that visual of that lead leg being straighter and this one at an angle kicked in, and then watch, like literally maintaining that to the top. Look how my knee, you know, and I heard it phrased like this, and I love this. It's like you're screwing the right knee into the ground. Just right here. Okay? And you watch this right hip. My mentor always told me it just works perpendicular to your target line. Okay? It's not going to have any movement that way. For you, it's going to feel like someone takes your belt loop and literally pulls it back towards the target like this. And it's going to feel like the right knee, if anything, almost goes this way, a hair for somebody who's always going that way. But it won't. It'll stay still. Yeah. Contact immediately gets better. It just takes away all your lateral movement and helps you not stand up, that's all. I mean, dude, literally 95% perfect there. Just lost it a little bit at the bottom. I mean, just turned it a little bit, but I mean, that was so good with the way that you're staying over the golf ball. You can see the compressions coming. You watch a lot of good wedge players on tour, by the way, you know, where this hip will literally move towards the target. It doesn't go this way. That's a big thing because that spine angle is perpendicular to the lower body right there. So when this drops spine forward, it slides, spine goes back. And that's what takes that shoulder plane and goes this way, dumps the club into the ground early, adds loft to it. Rather than being high left hip and the ability to rotate through, it covers the golf ball. So like a good drill for you would be if I was like right here, buddy, and I stood back at the angle here. Like you'd want to, here's where you want to have your hip bump to, out here. Awesome. And now try when you turn, try to feel like it stays up against that. Yeah. And that's literally directly down your line right there. So I feel guilty giving this guy at-home drills because, you know, he's still kicking. It doesn't take days off, so he's still working on his craft and making sure he's showing up for next season. But I'll tell you what, if there was an at-home drill that I'd be throwing in, it'd be putting a pillow or a ball, a medicine ball, up against the wall in your left hip and just making a deep turn, holding the ball in there. Absolutely. And here's the key. Always for you, it's been this. Kev, hop around the front here. The ability to turn the chest around the spine angle that your hips create, right? Which is, right? So even if I keep this still, hip goes forward, there's an angle there. Well, if I just turn around that angle, my shoulders are right on the inside of my right foot, but my hip is still up. So your back always keeps this angle. Now watch, the one thing you want to stay away from is that look right there. When you're here, you'll be there. When you're here, that's when this hip can then pull back and then the right shoulder comes through and you work instep to instep with your upper body. That's when you really start covering it and stabilizing the face. Yeah, every time you do that, it's so good. So good. That was perfect right there. All right, hey, is there any relevance to the golf swing to kicking?
I mean, most of it is.
Most of it is. How would you describe that?
I mean, it's the same thoughts. It's swing path, tempo, you know. I mean, it's all the same but different, right? Like
if you're a right-handed kicker, or right-footed kicker, I should say, and here's like the back of the ball, and that's like 6 o'clock right there, 12 o'clock's there. Like, what are you trying to do when you enter in here? Are you trying to hit it?
I look at the left panel.
You look at the left panel.
So there's 4 panels on the football, inside out swing path. So I'm trying to look at this left panel about halfway up. You know, my rotation plant is where I kind of work everything around, and then my swing path, like I'm trying to same thought, come in from the inside. You know, I don't want to get this way. I want to try and come in here, and then my club path is my foot, and where my foot's making good, strong contact with it. And the same thought.
When I went over that one Monday about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I watched you do the warm up at the local high school, and I watched you start off with no step in.
Yep. And
you were here, and you were just like this.
Yep.
And hitting shots from the goal line and just hitting them right over. This basically is like the slot, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing here.
When I like
here,
I'm watching my film, it's pretty much the same terminology. It's, you know, inside out path. What's my foot doing? What's my face doing? You know, comparison, and then staying tall and levered on my left hip, plant and rotating around that, and swinging towards, you know, my target. Again with the tempo.
Nothing different than this warm up right here. Posted up lead leg, getting the golf club right into the slot position, and just rotating through to hit it. And that's the same thing I do with my players. I get them right into the proper set position and into the slot, and I'm just having them rotate around that lead leg. So cool. I appreciate that, bud. Those last 2 are money. Good. Right knee on the inside. Ooh, man. Yeah, how about that? Face on recap right here. Not moving this, just shifting the hips, straighter, a little bit more of the brace, maintaining that to the top. Yes, 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 yes. By the way, I don't know why I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to just go to the end zone on the other side and just get that sand wedge out and just
it's
through the uprights.
It's with a wedge, it's gonna feel so close, but then you try and kick a football and it's like
trying to kick football feels like a mile away. I talk about this guy hitting a 65-yard field goal. You're sitting there from 65 with a wedge and you're like, okay, pocket high, boop. And then you're sitting there looking at that football on the ground, you're thinking, I hope I get this halfway there.